welcome to week number 7 Monster Pod. Matt Brown, Noops Christensen here for the lineups, and going to run you through each and every game, any bet in our account, any leans we might have, and any games we want to put on a rocket and fire into the sun. If you have not done so already, hit that subscribe button. Everything we do, absolutely free here, so do appreciate the support there on that one. Maybe your week is already made because you had all the tight end props on Thursday Night Football. If you did, look at Noops over there with the thumbs up. Good on you, and you don't even have to worry about this week. It's already a winner. You can only go down, so maybe you just – no, I'm not going to say don't quit. Put in some of these bets we're going to talk about, but you get my point. You've already had a good week because 5 tight end touchdowns on Thursday Night Football. Just absolute insanity. And Noops, we got to get up all early again. Another London game, the Rams and the Jags, as the Rams are going to head in at looks like 3, though this was at 3.5. Some news on the injury side of things for LA took the hook away. Everyone took it with the Jags. 44.5 is our total. You and I talking as we came on. We both feel like Havenstein and Puka Nacua not going to play, though, as of this recording. So just as everyone, not officially official yet, but reading the tea leaves does not seem like those guys are going to be out there.
Yeah, as you start to look at some of the practice reports and things kind of like that, especially with the tough travel spot against the Jaguars team, the Rams could probably beat anyway without those guys. Obviously, you'd rather have your starting right tackle and arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. But as we look at this Jaguars team, it's something you and I have talked about just about every week. I just am still not sure the Jaguars are very good. You go back and look at a lot of these wins. Yes, impressive to beat Kansas City on the stumble bumble, but it's just there's a lot of luck. There's a lot of different things as I go in there, as I start to break down their games more. I think the Rams should be able to control this game. Should be able to win here. Weather looks like it's going to be a little bit tough. They're in Wembley Stadium, where generally there's a little bit more of an under vibe there from what I understand, and looking back at some of the results in London. So it should be an interesting matchup. A team in the Rams that I think is very good, maybe a little bit underrated. A team in the Jaguars that I'm not sure is good, I think is a little overrated. But again, when you're playing these, when you're betting the NFL, these spreads are really tight. Right now it's sitting at 3. I think
Noops,
that's
there we have it coming through as we are recording this. So Nacua, Havenstein officially out for Sunday. Yeah. So there it is.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just really hard to trust the Rams with that. 2 of their really key pieces. But at the same time, I'm not going to bet Jacksonville here. Everything is sort of pushing me towards the under. The only thing that concerns me just a little bit, there's a chance it's going to rain. And rain actually tends to be a little bit better for offenses. Because you're an offense and you know what plays you're running, there's less slippage. There's less problems trying to react to what's going on. So a little worried about the weather. Lean towards the under in what I think will be kind of an ugly Sunday morning game.
Yeah, this is one of those, when the hook was out there, I played the Jags at 3 and a hook. I wouldn't go, if the hook shows back up, which I doubt it will now that this news is out there, I wouldn't go in that direction. It just, for me, I thought very, 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 I was near certain that Puka Nacua was not going to play this week, given the fact that they're on bye next week. So it's like, okay, he is the key to you having a good season, and you're going overseas and all this nonsense. Like, this is the perfect opportunity. Send him back to LA, get him on the rehab program. You got to buy next week and all of that and everything. So now that it's official, I kind of just assumed that was going to be the case. So I took the 3.5 with the Jags, mainly because I'm on the other side of 3. And while Devontae Adams is certainly still very good, he is not the alpha Devontae Adams of years past or whatever. And so, to me, I still think the Rams probably win, but it feels kind of like a field goal game now, as to where if Puka Nacua's in there, Havenstein's in there, this is a Rams play for me, 9 times out of 10. But without those dudes, I just think there could be at least a little bit of struggles going on with all of this. And so ended up taking the hook there in that one.
Yeah, when you get to 3.5, I think that makes a lot more sense. Again, once you get down to 3, I don't feel strongly either way. I kind of still lean to the Rams at this point, but I'm certainly not going to risk my money on a team that's going to have to kind of on the fly adjust to missing 2 of their most important offensive pieces.
Our biggest spread of the week is the Kansas City Chiefs at home versus the Las Vegas Raiders. This is 12.5 in favor of the Chiefs. 45.5 is our total. This is, if you are not in Circa Survivor, this is your slam dunk Survivor play of the week. If you have the Chiefs left, if you're in Circa, you got to do a little soul searching if you want to burn a team that is as valuable as Chiefs are moving forward, considering the holiday week stuff. But if you're in just a traditional survivor pool, it's a tricky week. Maybe not the time to get cute considering the pools have now been decimated, but no Brock Bowers again for this Raiders team. And Noops, we've seen what they look like without Bowers out there, and it just no consistency whatsoever, right? And Geno's being Geno, throwing the ball to the other team and all that stuff. But I've talked about these double-digit spreads where just kind of not my style. When it all comes down to it, this Chiefs team could be dominating the game and be up 20 points in the fourth quarter, and you're still not home. And I hate those type of games. I just hate it.
Yeah. It's a really kind of tough spot in terms of the spread. I think you've got a Kansas City Chiefs team that is really starting to find themselves again. Had the tough loss to the Jaguars, but I thought looked great against the Lions, a team that we both thought would be able to beat that Chiefs team. Kansas City was in control of that game for pretty much all four quarters there. The offense has been fantastic, even with Travis Kelce taking a step back as he gets toward the end of his career. Everyone else has really stepped up. Xavier Worthy's great, and things should be even better. Rashee Rice returns this week. Should be a huge piece. Rashee Rice, one of the best receivers in the NFL against zone defenses. The Raiders run as much zone defense as anybody. So the more and more I look at this, I think I'm just going to try to keep this nice and simple. How do I find a way to bet on the Chiefs to have a lot of success? I don't have to worry about whatever the Raiders do. And I think the best way to do that is you look at a Chiefs team total. I'm seeing 29.5. I know that's a really high number. I think it's still too low. I had this closer to 30.5. Honestly, I think you could make a case it should be even the super rare 31.5 for a team total. I just see no way that the Raiders are going to slow this Chiefs team down. Now, Kansas City, devil's advocate, they like to run the clock a little bit in the second half where they have a lead. That should be the case in this game. So, maybe they get 24, 25 points in the first half, but then slow things down a little bit. I love this spot for the Chiefs. I am going to be using them Survivor, but like you said, if you are in a Survivor pool, it requires you to pick a Thanksgiving game. You cannot use the Chiefs this week. You can't do it. The Chiefs are the only real choice in that 3-game Thanksgiving slate. The other 2 games are very close. So if you're not in one of those pools, feel free to use Kansas City in Survivor this week. If you have to pick a team on Thanksgiving, tuck them away. And we'll talk about some other options as we go forward.
Yeah, this was, again, file this under the nobody cares thing, but this is more of a, hey, just a heads up moving forward. So I had a feeling the books were going to underprice Rashee Rice whenever they came out with their prop number. I thought mid 50s. They opened Wednesday night, Noops, at 48.5. I destroyed 48.5 as many times as I could put it into the account before they told me to go, fly a kite. It is up to 65.5 now at DraftKings with Rashee. They priced it like a dude that was coming off of a major injury. And while he is coming off a major injury, that was well over a year ago. He was suspended. This dude has had nothing better to do than run wind sprints and go run routes with high school quarterbacks and college quarterbacks and things and stuff like that. Like, I expect a fairly full complement of snaps for Rashee Rice. I think the Chiefs understand the position that they're in right now, that, hey, yes, they're trending in the right direction, but they're also still 3-3, right? I mean, like, they still need to go out and make sure they figure things out for this stretch run and all that. Like, I mean, 65.5 now, I wouldn't play, but I think this is just something moving forward with when we know a dude is coming off of injury or coming off a suspension or whatever it might be. And it's nothing that we're truly worried about. Like, I was not worried about Rashee Rice's playing time because, again, it was a suspension. It was where, so for me, it's not like a wide receiver with a hamstring injury or something, like those things that I'd be like, maybe pump the brakes. But if it was like a wide receiver with a hand injury or something, and it's like, okay, he sits out a week to make sure his thumb's okay and he's back in there. Sometimes they go a little too low on the openers, and that's just what happened here with this one. I think the number's about fair now, but they did not price Patrick Mahomes wide receiver 1 as a wide receiver 1. And so that's just something we can look at moving forward in the forward weeks.
Yeah, it's a great bet by you. Now, the question I have is, are you thinking about middling at all? I mean, you're looking at a spot where I think if I got the numbers right, you're looking at like an 18-yard middle there. Do you think you'll try to buy back at all on your big position?
The only problem is, like, the only thing that I'm scared about is what if Andy Reid and Mahomes are just kind of like, okay, let's like really get him worked back into the offense, and they just pepper him with targets. That's the thing that's in the back of my head, right? That is like this scary part with me, but it's very hard to turn down an 18-yard middle. I can say that. It is certainly hard, but we'll see what happens. Maybe this thing keeps climbing. If it gets just egregious, then I'll probably have no choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably have no choice there with them. Okay, Miami is on the road at Cleveland. This is 2.5 in favor of Cleveland. The total has plummeted down to 36.5, 37. Word came out a couple of days ago. This could be 30, 40, even 50 mile an hour wind gusts there in Cleveland. Now you factor in that you have an offense in Miami that doesn't do anything. You have an offense that is quarterbacked by Dylan Gabriel on the Cleveland side of things. Then factor in a very, very good Cleveland defense. And now you get a total of 36.5 to 37 in this one. Noops, what say you?
Yeah, unfortunately, we missed the boat a little bit on the total. As we see just about every year in Cleveland, there's a couple weekends that are just like this. Again, right by the lake, right by the Cuyahoga River there. Weather is brutal. And you already hit on 30, 40, 50, as high as that mile-per-hour gusts. That's really what affects games. Snow, rains, heat, cold, stuff like that. That all has minimal effects, but the wind, you're affecting kickoffs, you're affecting throws down the field. I think all of this is setting up to be just an absolutely ugly, gross football game. And that's what the Browns want. That's how the Browns want to play football. Their defense is set to handle this. Their offense is set to just run the ball. And was close to taking the Browns, really wanted +3. I'm seeing +2.5 everywhere. So lean towards the Browns. It's just simply because it's a game that they want to play. And the second thing I'll say is, this is my favorite prop bet of the week. Quinshon Judkins. I don't know what his rushing total is. I don't care. We're going over. We're laddering that thing up. I think the Browns are just going to give him the ball 20, 25 times, maybe
it's
30
at
times.
95.5. You can't ladder it. It's at 95.5. Like they have put in this dude is going to get the ball basically every single down. I mean, they've priced you out of laddering. I mean, 95.5 at DraftKings.
I'm going to keep looking around. I still think this could be a 125, 150-yard game for him as I'm clicking around again. And it makes sense. The books are a little hesitant to put out a lot of props here, given how kind of goofy the game is. But I still don't think that number is enough. I have him for at least 105 yards rushing in this game. So even though the number is high, give me Quinshon Judkins over everything.
Whoo, you are a bold, bold man. I don't know if I could go there. If anything, I might just do attempts. I don't know how efficient he could be. But the last time I looked, and this was last night, 19.5 was the over under on rush attempts. And so
it's up to 20.5.
Yeah. So 20.5 now, even that, it's and then that way we don't have to work. We don't have to really deal with efficiency. It's just hey, they're going to turn around and hand it over to him over and over and over again, as opposed to having Dylan Gabriel throw in 30 mile an hour winds, So I think that could be a look as well. New England Patriots on the road at the Tennessee Titans. They are full touchdown favorites on the road against the Titans. 42.5 is our total here in this one. A popular survivor play as well will be the New England Patriots playing against the worst team in the NFL, the lowest power rated team in the NFL, and the first team to fire their head coach here in 2025. Noops, the narrative all week long is the dead cat bounce thing and the whatever and rally around the interim coach and all of that. And my counter to that would be, well, what about the fact that Vrabel used to coach in Tennessee and maybe his players want to rally around him and do, whatever. So it's this whole who's going to rally more, and it's a rally off and all of that. I mean, that at that point, it's look, New England's a better team for sure. It just comes down to, do you think that they can cover a full touchdown?
Yeah, the other sort of fly in the ointment for the Patriots here, it's their third consecutive road game, and that's always really tough. I know that they're professional athletes, and they fly on private planes and all that stuff. It's still tough. And if you go back and look over history, being in that third road game is absolutely worth a few points of adjustment. And I see a little bit of that line. I expected this to be closer to Patriots 8.5, 9. We're looking at 7 right now, and Like you said, we've got a new coach for the Titans, but it's Mike McCoy. Just an absolutely terrible head coach. If you remember him with the Los Angeles Chargers, has been a mediocre coordinator since then.
And they have no talent.
Honestly, Matt,
There's also that. Like, that's the other thing. Like, and they have no talent in a rookie quarterback. Like, it's the deal that I was trying to explain to a lot of people this week, where they're like, yeah, but look, historically, teams that have had the whatever and don't whatever. And I was like, yeah, but did they have a rookie quarterback where the team's completely talentless? Because that's kind of what we have in Tennessee right now.
Exactly. The Titans' best player is on defense, Jeffrey Simmons. I'm sure he'll have a nice game here, but it does seem like a great spot. At the same time, if I have to pick something in this game, and we don't, folks, that's the really nice part about betting. Our advantage as bettors is we get to look at the deli menu. We don't have to eat all of it. I kind of would take the 7 points with the Titans, just given the travel spot for the Patriots here. I think the market rating on them has been creeping up, as it should be, maybe just a touch too high. So interesting game. I think the Patriots, again, are a pretty solid selection survivor. I do think they win this game. Just maybe the Titans find a way to cover kind of at the end of the game. So all that said, it's a game I'm certainly not going to be watching, but good look in survivor if you can't use the Chiefs. And again, if I have to pick something, which I don't, I lean actually towards the Titans +7.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Calvin Ridley's going to play in this game, so the targets will at least have to go somewhere. That Elik Umanor rookie seems to be like Cam Ward's kind of favorite target outside of that. If you want to maybe go that direction, this is like teaser leg written all over it. Like, I mean, this is just like get New England under a field goal, and like, could they not cover for sure? But I don't know if they don't cover. I think they cover a field goal. So, I mean, it's like, I think that
they're going to win this game.
It's like, it certainly feels like even if they sputter in this thing, they still win by a field goal against what's going on there in Tennessee. Again, just no talent there. Tennessee's on a full rebuild right now. I mean, full on rebuild. They just don't have the dudes. New Orleans on the road at Chicago. This is 5 in favor. Well, there's 4.5, 5 in favor of Chicago at home over the Saints. 46.5 is our total here in this one. The Bears came out of the bye, at least looked a little bit more competent than they did before they went into the bye on the offensive side of the ball. Ben Johnson's first head coaching gig, his first bye week, his first trying to figure out, how to make adjustments and all of that. New Orleans, I had them as the worst team in the NFL coming in. So I guess to say that they're 30th in my power ratings now as opposed to 32nd is something, that they're not as terrible as I thought, but still a bad team. Noops, what do you think about 4.5, 5?
Yeah, the second note on my sheet here, the Saints really might not be a complete disaster, I think sort of sums up the whole thing. Coming into the season, everybody expected the Saints to be by far the worst team, but the defense has a little bit of a pulse, and the offense isn't turning the ball over. And I think that's really what's going to be important in this game. You go back and look at the Bears, who have now somehow won 2 games in a row, 25-24, have a chance to do it again here. I think the Bears, again, should be favored. I expect them to win this game, but 4.5, 5, that's about a point and a half, a little bit higher than I think it should be. The Saints, again, offensively have not been spectacular, but they haven't sabotaged themselves. They're not losing games because Shane Rattler's throwing 2 interceptions and fumbling every game. It's just simply they cannot grind out enough points. But against this Bears team, which has moments, it's that first game of the year that we saw with the Bears has sort of been what I've seen every week. At moments, it looks like Caleb Williams is incredible. Everything in this offense is clicking. Romo Junze might be one of the best receivers in the NFL. And then suddenly we go a quarter and a half without just anything good happening. So in a spot where, again, I think the Bears probably just a tad overrated as I look at some of the market adjustments to them. I know they're at home, but again, they've been thriving on turnovers. This Bears defense has done a great job of punching the ball out. We've heard the phrase peanut punch about as much as I've ever heard my entire life since Peanut Tillman retired. They really thrive on that. I just don't expect the Saints to turn the ball over. And if they don't, 4.5 is too many. Give me New Orleans.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think because I don't have the Patriots available, and I am going to have to save the Chiefs because, again, I'm playing to win this thing. I might have to make a Bears click this week, which is going to be tough in a survivor standpoint, but I just, I might have to do that. I think they win the game. 5 might be too much. That said, that first week, outside of the scripted plays, it looked pretty bad. And second week, kind of outside of scripted plays, didn't look very bad. The last 4 weeks for the Bears offense, though, they're 9th in EPA per play, like over the last 4 weeks. So it's kind of like he might have figured something out after those first couple of weeks, maybe got a little too conservative. Again, first time head coach, maybe not really putting the foot on the gas as much as he should. So I don't know. I kind of think there is some upside here for this Bears offense. I just don't know if it happens this week, later on in the season, or if it's even this season at all. DJ Moore is banged up in this one, should equal some more snaps for Luther Burden.
Yep.
I think that might be a good thing for this offense too. So we'll see. Might be a few too much for me, but I don't really need to bet it because I think I'm going to be sweating this thing hardcore because I'm going to have a survivor entry on it. Unfortunately, that's where I've kind of painted myself here in this picture. So go Bears is all I can say about that. Philadelphia Eagles on the road at the Minnesota Vikings. This is 1.5 to 2.5 in favor of the Eagles on the road. 43.5 to 44 is our total. So interesting quarterback stuff going on there in Minnesota. You have Carson Wentz that has a shoulder injury. You have JJ McCarthy who has the high ankle sprain. JJ McCarthy takes to the podium on Tuesday and says, yeah, my second opinion on the ankle really said 4 to 6 weeks. This would be week 4. And Carson Wentz dealing with a throwing shoulder injury. And then you have the offensive coordinator who comes out in his press conference and actually mentions the third stringer, which is like just odd in the first place. Max Bronmer, by the way, if anyone was wondering, undrafted free agent, third string there for Minnesota. Noops, I don't like what I've seen so far from the Eagles. I think this offense is sputtering for sure. All of the different things that you hate about this Eagles team, but man, the quarterback position is the most important position in all of the NFL. And if I'm going to get this Philadelphia defense going up against either a banged up Carson Wentz on his throwing shoulder, a JJ McCarthy who's not fully recovered from a high ankle sprain, or God forbid, an undrafted rookie third stringer that ends up having to come in because Carson Wentz re-injures his shoulder or whatever it might be or something. At 1.5, I played it. Prove me wrong, Minnesota. I'm okay in moving Eagles even further down my power ratings than I already have. I'm fine with that. And I'll pay the price to take the lesson.
Yeah, it's one of those spots where, to make this even more interesting, as the week's gone on and we learn more and more about the Vikings' curious quarterback situation, people have continued to bet Minnesota. This game opened Philadelphia -3 and has been pushed all the way down to 1.5. We're now back to 2.5. I wonder if we do snap back to 3. How do you trust either team? The Vikings. Is McCarthy really that hurt? Is this a soft benching? There's been a lot of conversations about that. Carson Wentz hasn't looked great, but you don't have to look great when you're just throwing the ball to Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson over and over and over again. There's plenty of options in that offense. So you don't know who's playing at quarterback. I mean, Max Brosmer, I'm going to be honest, Matt, you saying his name like 3 minutes ago is the first time I've ever heard his name in my entire life. That is the first I've been aware of Mr. Brosmer, who, again, with all due respect to someone that's probably better at football than I ever will be at anything, is not someone that I'm ready to trust. At the same time, the Philadelphia locker room, you hear what is becoming louder than whispers about maybe A.J. Brown wanting to go play football somewhere else. That is not what you are looking for here. The Philadelphia Eagles offense, and it seems to be a lot is being put on the coordinator, just have really struggled. They haven't looked good, but I mean, -2.5, this Philadelphia team should be able to control this game regardless of who plays quarterback. So if it really is anybody but Carson Wentz, I probably will go in and bet the Eagles -2.5 if that number is still available once we find out. But for now, there's more unknown about this game than any other game in this slate.
Like I said, I'm paying the price for the lesson here, and if the lesson is that this Eagles team really is on the severe decline, then that's my monetary punishment for the lesson. But the quarterback stuff freaks me out. It's just, JJ McCarthy wasn't really good anyway when we did see what we had in him. A high ankle sprain is nothing to mess around with. If he's on the front end of that recovery as opposed to the back end, that's all weird. It's a throwing shoulder deal for Carson Wentz. I don't know. I just can't get there. So
yeah,
again, Philly, if you can't get it done against a couple banged up quarterbacks, then you're going to be on the severe decline for sure in my power ratings. Carolina on the road at the New York Football Jets, our last winless team in the NFL. The Carolina Panthers are 1.5 point favorites on the road against the Jets. 41.5 to 42.5 is our total out here in this one. No Garrett Wilson for the Jets in this thing. And so that is, a team that was struggling for offense anyway is now without their one dude who can actually make offense happen. But Noops, it is Carolina on the road as favorites. Can we possibly pull the trigger on Bryce Young in this situation?
Well, I have a question for you, Matt. Bryce Young has started 18 road games in his career. How many of those 18 has he won?
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
Just one, and that is really, really scary. And again, you go back, there's a lot of noise on that number. The Panthers were not good for most of Bryce Young's career. They probably still aren't very good. But the Jets, this is the last stand. If the Jets don't win this game, they might not win a game all season. We're talking about just shutting everything down. And having Garrett Wilson out just makes this almost impossible. Without Garrett Wilson, all the Jets can do is run the ball. Now, the Panthers have a bad run defense, so maybe that's a good thing that they won't be trying to throw the ball. It's just, this game is so confusing. It's really hard for me to trust Bryce Young, but the Panthers have looked better. And now maybe it's having spent a couple weeks at home, getting really comfortable, but I don't know.
They have looked competent. Credit where credit is due. They have looked competent. The Panthers have looked competent, and so it's one of those things where I think we have to at least say this offense over the last month or so has at least been kind of like league average. It's not good, but it's about middle of the pack, and middle of the pack is pretty good when you're facing what could end up being the worst team in the NFL. So yeah, I don't know. It would only be Panthers or pass for me here, but I just can't quite get there. There is one note that I wrote down with the Garrett Wilson miss is that the Panthers allow 6.5 receptions a game to the tight end position, the most yards per game to the tight end position.
Yep.
Justin Fields can't throw the ball past 12 yards as it is anyway. So I don't know. Maybe Mason Taylor ends up having a game here for the Jets. He's been getting looked at least a little bit more by Garrett Wilson. By Justin Fields here lately as it is anyway. So that's kind of my only real note here is I might end up on some sort of weird Mason Taylor alt over on receptions or alt over on something or whatever, just because he's not going to throw the ball. Listen, he's not going to have 46 whatever pass yards. He's going to throw the ball in the forward direction, at least to someone. And so maybe Mason Taylor's the guy.
Yeah, I like your use of forward direction. I think that's a really good way to describe it. But yeah, you've got a competent Panthers team. I lean towards that. I love what you're saying about Mason Taylor. You look at the targets for the Jets. Garrett Wilson, a hilarious target share, about 45% of total targets on the team. He's gone. It's not going to be Josh Reynolds. It's not going to be Tyler Johnson, Alan Lazard, whoever Arian Smith is. It's just not great for them. So I like Mason Taylor, and I wouldn't hesitate to play him to score a touchdown. And look at Jeremy Ruckert. He is a guy, generally a blocker, but gets a lot of play when you get a little bit closer to the red zone. So I think maybe there's a chance for him in a play action kind of setting to score a touchdown. I think that's a great angle. Start to look at some Jets tight ends and get weird with it.
Indianapolis Colts on the road at the LA Chargers. This is Chargers by 1.5. It is 48.5 on the total. This Chargers offensive line, a complete wreck. Just an absolute disaster right now. This Colts team, listen, by the metrics, if we go in and look, most of this seems legit. Most of it seems like a top 10 team. Daniel Jones, if you go in and, people that are much smarter than Noops and I who go in and take their each week, man, by the way, just shout out all of you data nerds out there, and then you know how to put it in awesome, easy to read charts and all of the things that I don't know how to do and can't do. God bless you. Seriously, it's unbelievable. It's so incredibly helpful. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for all of the work. Somebody goes in and takes all of the EPA data and blends it with all of the PFF data. So basically you're getting the hard advanced statistics with the kind of the eye test grading system stuff, meshes it all together and comes up with a composite rating on all of these quarterbacks. And And Noops, I'm sure this is not going to surprise you. Daniel Jones is 7th in the NFL. I mean, like ahead of guys like Jared Goff and Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, who he's playing against right here, Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels, ahead of all of those guys. I mean, like he has been like not subjectively, objectively good so far this year in this Steichen system.
Yeah, it's been exciting watching the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, they've been the revelation of the season so far. Not that we expected them to be bad, but I don't think anybody expected the Colts to make it this far with just one loss already. This should be a really fun game. This might be the game of the weekend, honestly. After we saw a fantastic contest on Thursday, it'll kind of be tough to top that. But this is two offenses that I think have a really sort of easy task in front of them. Now, as you said, the Chargers offensive line, their left tackle, right tackle, and starting center are all listed questionable. That's a real problem. But if you could get maybe one or two of those guys to go, that should be enough pass protection against a defense in Indianapolis that hasn't had a great pass rush. And if they can find some time, the Colts are also dealing with a sort of a cluster injury. They've got about 2-3 defensive backs that are all struggling to practice. They haven't been practicing, might not play here. If that's the case, the Chargers should be able to score a bunch of points. At the same time, the Chargers defense has also been really beaten up. I mean, I don't know what is in the water there in Los Angeles for the Chargers, but it just seems to get everybody hurt. So a Colts team that could put up a lot of points, really close to betting the over here. Just my only concern is two teams that love to run the ball. A coach in Jim Harbaugh knows that he has to run clock here to kind of keep things under control. Yeah. So I think we'll see a lot of interesting offense. I'm just not sure we'll get enough touchdowns and enough possessions in this game. So lean over 48.5, but just can't get myself to fire.
Yeah, I wanted to come in here with some sort of hot Josh Downs take, but they haven't put up any markets for him yet because the AD Mitchell situation is still up in the air. If, you know, it all just depends. So I can't really give a strong opinion here, but it seemed to me Josh Downs, who was kind of rounding into a dude that they were using a decent amount last year, and then for whatever reason went away from him at the beginning of this season. But AD Mitchell misses last week, and then Downs, oh, by the way, this guy can actually play, and they use him a ton.
He's great.
I don't know, Noops, especially with AD Mitchell deal with, you know, dropping the ball before he crossed the goal line. He not really being an impact on the offense as it was anyway. Even if he does play, I'm not sure that Downs didn't just basically earn his way back into the majority of those snaps as opposed to like splitting them with AD Mitchell. So kind of depending on what Downs number comes out at could be a play for me in this one.
Yeah, I like that angle. And I especially like it even more because he's got a slightly different role. Adonai Mitchell, generally a little bit more of a field stretcher, whereas Downs, a little bit more of a slot guy, kind of in the middle of the field. So I like that angle quite a bit. I think Josh Downs should definitely have a big game.
The Giants are on the road at Denver. Denver is a touchdown favorite. 40.5 is our total here in this one. Another survivor implications game here for sure. There's going to be a lot of people in the Broncos at home against this Giants team. Noops, I'll tell you this, though. I'm a Jackson Dart believer, man. I'll drink the Kool-Aid, but this team should not be competitive given where they're at from an injury situation. Last week, he had no Malik Neighbors. He also had no Darius Slayton. They should be getting blown out in these games. And Jackson Dart has come in with the swagger. By the way, he adds an element with his legs that you're getting, or a guy that can go and break a pocket and get a run. If you need to go pick up 7 yards for a first down, he's doing that for this team and all of that. Like, you know, that said, I would say if you're a Giants fan out there, don't lose hope if for whatever reason they go and get their ass kicked in this game, because it is on the road at elevation against one of the best, if not the best defenses in the NFL. And it's still only his 4th start in the NFL. So like, again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just giving you kind of the preface here that if for whatever reason the Giants get their ass kicked this week, don't like lose faith in Jackson Dart and whatever. This is not the best. This is not the best scenario for them.
Now, the Giants are building up to be probably the most exciting team come this next offseason.
Yeah.
What are they going to do to build around just a really exciting young core of Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors, and Cam Scattaboo?
Have you heard that they might be in the trade market for a wideout? That would be awesome. Can you imagine? So Neighbors comes back next year and they actually have added, like, I will be like, Giants will be must-watch TV for me.
Oh, absolutely. They'll be one of the dark horses. People will be talking about them to win that division, really compete with the Eagles. But I think they can compete this week. Extra rest for the Giants coming off Thursday night. A tough spot. The Broncos played in London last week, did not take their bye. They come all the way back home. That's a really tough travel spot for them. Denver's offense has stunk. I mean, just been really bad. We've talked about Bo Nix just about every week about how underwhelming he is. It's just, I don't know what is wrong with him. He's taken a big step backward from what we saw last year. And like you talked about, Dart is really exciting. And this Giants team has an identity. We're going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And when we need to throw it, Dart is either going to be able to get the ball to Wan'Dale Robinson, the tight end Theo Johnson's had a nice season, or run himself. I mean, really, my only concern is that Cam Scatterbo and Jackson Dart seem to like to headbutt one another, and both guys that have already been pulled into the blue tent for concussion checks, I hope they stop doing that. That is really my only concern this week, is that we might lose one of these guys to injury. I love the Giants +7. I'm going to take the points.
It would be Giants or pass for me for sure. The other concern just is how efficient this defense has been for Denver as well. They lead the NFL in 3-and-out percentage. Not only they lead the NFL in 3-and-out percentage, they lead the NFL in 3-and-out percentage by a long shot. It's like nearly 50% of opposing drives go 3-and-out against this defense. And it's like, as awesome as Dart has been, and as much as I love him and think that this is going to be a super fun, like you said, next season for him and all that, like, it might just be tough sledding the whole time in all of this. The other thing, though, for me, the dude is like A-okay taking off and running. Probably going to get pressured in this game. Probably going to have to break the pocket. Probably going to get 2 or 3 designed runs called for him as well. You can find 38.5 out there in the market right now on a rushing yards total for Jackson Dart. And, if this game does go sideways, Noops, what happens? Then you're dropping back to pass every single time. The defenses are playing a little bit softer against you, which obviously entices you sometimes to just take that 8-9 yards whenever they're playing a little bit soft as well. So I think there's like multiple paths for this getting there too. So probably a Jackson Dart 38.5 going into the account for me.
Yeah, I like that look quite a bit. I don't think there's a bad way to bet Jackson Dart. I love this. This is so much fun. It happens every year. We get a team that just, it's like new life has been breathed into the Giants, and it's better for the NFL when the Giants are fun.
It really is. And man, why they ever started Russell Wilson in the first place. So that's neither here nor there. We're not doing sports talk radio. We're not doing that. So Commanders are on the road at the Cowboys. This is one on both sides. So you can get either the Cowboys or the Commanders favored by 1 right now out in the market. So be sure and shop around, as we say. Not that 0, I mean, obviously we're going through the 0. It's not all that important, but hey, take the point if you want to take the point. 54.5 is our total here in this one. Boy, just a super, I mean, what can we say about this Dallas offense? I mean, even without CeeDee Lamb, just continued to absolutely mow and truck, and Dak Prescott playing at an incredibly high level, Noobs.
Yeah, this game should be a lot of fun in a week where we've got some really interesting games. A division matchup. Usually those are lower scoring. Not this one. It's the highest total we've seen all season so far, as high as 56.5 some places. It's just absolutely nuts. And the Dallas Cowboys have been playing great without CeeDee Lamb, who looks like he is going to return this week. Again, still listed as questionable. We'll have to see what comes out of the Friday practice reports a little bit later today. Terry McLaurin listed as questionable. Maybe he comes back. But, either way, this feels like a classic game, Matt, where whoever has the ball last wins. I don't really see how either team stops them. And I'm going to go back to a bet that's been pretty successful. I know they only scored 27 last week, but the Cowboys team total sits at 27.5. I don't know why this isn't 28.5, closer to 29.5. I think we're getting at least a free point and a half on this thing. So I'm just going to keep betting the Cowboys to score points. Dak Prescott's having an incredible season. Hopefully some of you guys bet Dak comeback player of the year. Should probably be the favorite for that award right now. Give me a Cowboys team total over 27.5.
I'm going to circle back around here to a game that we just talked about, because this is a awful little update here for the Colts. Josh Downs, Ashton Doolin, Kenny Moore, and Charvarius Ward all not practicing today.
That's bad
for the Colts. So Downs, Moore, and Ward, I mean, that's your 2 starting corners.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about that just a little bit. If both of those guys are out, I can't believe I'm saying this with the Chargers offensive line that's so beat up. Maybe look at a Chargers team total over, some Justin Herbert overs. They should be able to sling the ball.
Wow. That is that certainly changed the complexion of that game a ton. So again, pay attention, guys, to how this goes down. I mean, 90 minutes before, that's unfortunate how it is, but 90 minutes before is when everything goes officially official out there. So pay attention. Green Bay on the road at Arizona. This is 6.5 in favor of Green Bay. 44.5 to 45 is our total. Noops, I was expecting more from the Packers coming out of the bye than what I saw last week from them. I mean, now you go in against an Arizona team that may or may not have Kyler Murray, could be Jacoby Brissett again. I need to see something from Green Bay. Like, everyone has them in the top 5 of their power ratings, but it's kind of like, I think it's because process of elimination, because we don't have any dominant team in the NFL this year. But I mean, they're on the borderline of falling out for me. I'll put it that way. Like, they need to show me something for sure.
I absolutely agree. I mean, you break down some of these lines and look at kind of a market power rating. I think the market has the Packers like the second or third best team in the NFL, and that might be the case, but it doesn't carry the same weight that it has in past years, where you kind of mentioned, we usually have 2-3 teams right at the top, the crust, the cream of the crop, if you will. There's just not anyone who's really dominating this year. So I guess by default, it has to be Green Bay. I think as we go back to Survivor, if you haven't used Green Bay yet, especially if Kyler Murray is out, this is a good spot to use them even on the road. But how do you get excited about this? I mean, the more I break this down, the Packers should be in control of this game the whole way through. That doesn't mean they're going to win.
Right. It's like one of those, every now and then, like one of these games, like I just look at it and go, that seems priced perfectly. And it's like, I look at this one and I just kind of go, that seems priced perfectly. Like, whether they won by a touchdown or didn't wouldn't surprise me one way or the other. And they have it sitting at 6.5. And like, if they won by 6 or if they won by 7, it's just, I'm like, this seems almost perfectly priced.
The books definitely have done a good job on some of those bigger numbers. The one bet I have been looking at and will probably make if Brissett is confirmed to be the starting quarterback, a Cardinals team total under 18.5. This Packers defense has been really solid, and as good as Brissett looked last week, I just can't expect him to play that well 2 weeks in a row. I think the Packers, again, should be able to control this game. The defense will be a big part of that. So if Brissett is confirmed to be the quarterback, if that team total is still 17.5 or higher for the Cardinals, I'll play the under. But for right now, just a lean.
Yeah, just a reminder, too, Marvin Harrison Jr. still in the concussion protocol for Arizona, would have to get cleared today in order to play in this game. So we'll see on the final injury report there on that one. Of course, that one will be out a little bit later this afternoon, being a West Coast team and all. But, probably even more favoring what you just said on a team total under if Harrison isn't out there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, Sunday night football, and man, do we have some stuff going on over at 365. If you have not opened up an account over at 365, they have all kinds of cool bonuses going on throughout the course of the year. Thursday night football, they have a safety net bet. On Sunday night football, they have a big jackpot that you can enter. Monday night football, they have profit boost tokens they're throwing out all over the place. So be sure, listen, we talk about this all the time. We say shop around, but not only shop around, but Noops, you shop around, but you need to have the outs already there, right? Like, so you need to have these accounts already open and funded. You don't have to keep a ton of money in them at all. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, but open and funded, where if you see something that you really, really like, that you're able to take advantage of it before it goes away. And so if you live in a market that has 365 and you don't have it, you're really doing yourself a disservice. They have a ton of different cool markets. The only place in America that offers each way betting in golf as well right now. There's all kinds of stuff like that. So again, I can't say enough about why you should definitely have a 365 account.
It's a great book. It's one that I've tried to use quite a bit. I recently had to move from Pennsylvania to New York, and the biggest problem for me, Matt, is I can't access Bet365 anymore. So let's go New York State. Get it together. Get me a Bet365 account.
Atlanta Falcons on the road at the San Francisco 49ers. This is 1.5, 2 in favor of the 49ers at home over Atlanta, 46.5 to 47. The prevailing total out there. Noops, of course, unfortunately for us, we are doing this on Friday morning. This is the big question here is who's going to play quarterback for the 49ers. So that is a pretty big deal when you go to try to handicap a game.
It makes all the difference in the world. It is absolutely the most important position in sports. It might be Brock Purdy. It might be Mac Jones. I honestly think the biggest problem for the 49ers is what is the defense going to do without Fred Warner? Arguably the most important defensive player in the NFL in terms of what he means for that team. Gets hurt last week, is out for the rest of the year. I just don't know what to expect of this 49ers defense. At the same time, I'm not sure it matters. Michael Penix Jr. might just not be very good. Makes a couple nice throws every game, but then there's a few things that just don't really make any sense to me. I think this game, this honestly is a sneaky candidate for the launch into the sum game, Matt. This thing could be ugly, ugly, ugly. The Falcons' defense has been great. One of the 5 best defenses in the NFL so far, which is kind of a big surprise based on what we thought coming in. They should have probably enough to control what this 49ers offense wants to do. At the same time, the defense, as I mentioned, without Fred Warner, you've got a very movable object in terms of the 49ers defense, but a very stoppable force in terms of the Falcons offense. So I was looking at the under in this game, just can't quite get myself to pull the trigger on the 46.5, but it's under a pass.
Kittle back this game for the 49ers. So no matter who's under center, a big, big boost there for them to get Kittle back out there on the field, especially when you look at their wide receiver situation in which Juwan Jennings was supposed to pick up the slack by not having Ayuk until well into the season. He did not do that at all. So then they were leaning on Pearsall, who then gets hurt. It's just been one thing after another, after another, after another with San Francisco. I would probably only play Atlanta in this one, even with Kittle coming back, but not anything that's in the account currently. Injury report going to be massive as we get closer to game time for this one, Noops. And, you know, in a game that, like you said, might be ugly, might be a rock fight, Atlanta up to 7.5, 8 in the teaser market certainly is something that you could play as well, because if we're thinking, hey, this could be gross, neither one of these teams could be able to really do much. Atlanta defense, by the way, out of nowhere, we thought they'd be better this year. Out of nowhere, it's like a top 6 defense currently. If that could change, they could certainly move more towards the middle of the pack. But so far, so good for all that investment that they put in on the defensive side of the ball. And so, yeah, I maybe Atlanta teaser leg is kind of the biggest lean I have here in this one.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. Not only just given the fact that you get to go to 1.5 through 6 through 7 up to 7.5. This would be probably the last teaser leg of your week. The Monday night games don't really have teasable prices there. So if you set up your teaser Sunday and you get all the way through to Sunday night with Falcons plus 7.5, if you get a little nervous, you have a chance. You can lay the 1.5, or just play a 49ers money line, open up a nice middle for yourself.
Guys, as always, everything to do absolutely free. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button here on this channel. Throw down in the comments what your favorite bet of the week is. Who are you playing in Survivor? All of that. Be sure and let us know. And, of course, we'll be back on the channel here for Monday Night Football as well. For Noops, I am Matt. Good luck on all your Week 7 bets.
Bet $5, get $300 in bonus bets, win or lose, with Bet365 Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus only. T&Cs apply. In-app only.